This conference will now be recorded.
Thanks, Joanne. 5:30, the meeting is open and Matt Cooper is on the phone. So do you want to bring us up to date, please, Matt, where we are on the project?
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. I had sent Joanne an update memo on the sewer. Hopefully you all had a chance to look at that, but I'll just run down that quickly and then you can answer any questions that you may have. So starting with the project involving the upgrades to the treatment plant and the main two pump stations, design was complete. We have approval from USDA Road Development and a verbal approval from DEC, just waiting for that to show up in writing. Just to recap our design parameters, the project addresses primarily flow issues to the pump stations in the plant. So it increases the treatment plant's capacity for peak flow from 2 million gallons per day to 4.5 million gallons per day. That should address our wet weather issues and violations at the plant with too much flow and upsetting the treatment system. Recap on our schedule. We are now out to bid, and the project is scheduled to open bids on May 14th at 1:30 p.m. We would anticipate then awarding contracts soon after that and start of construction in June. Keep in mind, we do have a limitation on the start of work for the force main that goes from Riverside to the treatment plant. That work will not start till after Labor Day, but the work at the treatment plant and the pump station itself can start immediately after contracts are awarded, likely in June. Anticipating roughly a year of construction, so completion in the summer of 2022. The funding for the project, this all should look the same to everybody. This is the same funding situation we've had for about a year now since Rural Development committed their portion of the funding to the project. The only pending one would be whether or not we decide to resubmit an application for a WQIP grant. And we can discuss that when the funding applications come out. They're not yet available. Permits on the project, the big one is your Speedies permit, which regulates a number of your treatment limits. But from a flow standpoint, most notably, it increased your average month flow allowed from 1.1 million gallons per day up to 2.0 million gallons per day. And that's a monthly average. We also got the approval from Flood Hub on our SISD determination, which helped us from having to spend significantly more money down at the Riverside pump station. And last is the DOT work permit. And again, we've gotten a verbal on approval on that, just pending getting that in writing from DOT. And that's just relevant to the sewer work happening within the right of way. So the action items, we do have one action item on the project, and that is an amendment to the B&L agreement for the engineering services on the project. As you may recall, the majority of our services on the project are lump sum. However, there are some itemized. Some feedback here. There's some itemized hourly services. I think we got a caller 7 with some feedback. If they could shut their mic off.
Caller number 7, can you turn off your mic, please?
Looks like it's still on. So there's services of our agreement that are hourly services. We estimate how much we anticipate those to be at the beginning. But the reason they're hourly is because they're items that typically we don't have complete control over. And in this case, we exceeded our estimate for permitting, which involves the permit work we did with DEC, DOT, Flood Hub. The efforts that we've had with Flood Hub and DOT in particular have, well exceeded what we anticipated. So we had to adjust the ceiling of the agreement amount for that line item. And we have a proposal to amend that by $24,000. So Norma, I don't know if you want to address that now or wait till I'm finished with the rest of this. Well, I'll continue, Norma, then. I just have just a little bit more to add with the inflow and infiltration study, and that is that the report was completed, it was submitted to DEC and EFC, and we have responded to their comments and just waiting for final approval. Once DEC provides final approval on that report, they will release the last 50% of your grant for that. That's a $50,000 grant balance to be paid to you, so that'd be a significant amount that you can recoup soon, hopefully.
Now, I'm hoping one of these callers that's on the line is Jeremy Kellogg. No? Who do we have? Just Nancy, Joe, and myself? Okay.
I'm here. Yes, I'm here, Norma.
Nancy and Joe.
Yes, yes.
But we don't have a Jeremy, right?
I haven't seen his name
Oh.
pop up.
Well, we don't have names on a couple of these new ones that came in, I don't think either. Do you want to get those, Joanne?
Usually Jeremy's name pops up, usually.
Yes. Usually it does. I have, right now I see CO for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 calls. Has someone called in 5 times?
We're getting an awful lot of feedback of something that's not working right.
This is Cab. I could have had trouble getting on, and I could be the caller that we tried to log in so many times, okay?
Oh, okay, thanks, Cabby.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, what we need to do, Nancy or Joe, to make a motion to this change order for a B&L. So we can move
I'll make
forward.
that motion.
Thank you. Can we have a second, please, Joe?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Does,
And nobody's
do any of
opposed because we just got the 3. Okay.
those-
So you're
Norma,
all set
do you-
there, Matt, with a
Okay,
change
great.
order.
Great. Do you or your board have any questions for me?
Yes, this is Joe Chrisman, Matt. Where are the bids going to be opened at?
At the village office.
Oh, okay. And under this project, are we going to dig up any new roads?
No, we coordinated with DOT. The only crossing of finished road would be on Riverside, and through our coordination, we were able to get DOT to install the pipe under that before they finished it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Joe, I've got a question for you. In a conversation we had recently, you were concerned about the sewer plant and you had some connection with somebody at DEC and thought we would be out of business in 5 years. Do you have anything you'd like to ask Matt?
You talking to me, Norma?
I'm talking to Joe Chrisman. We had this conversation after the last meeting. We were talking about some other things and you were concerned and you had someone that you knew at DEC and they had expressed concerns about our sewer plant. And I didn't agree with you then, and I just would like you to feel comfortable that the sewer plant's getting upgraded. We're going to have great capacity, and we haven't been to capacity that we have yet. So only when we have,
No, that was another conversation with somebody else, Norma. I don't know
No.
anybody at DEC.
well, we had the conversation. Never mind, Joel. Forget it. We had the conversation about DOT and DEC. But we'll move forward. We've got lots of capacity there, especially when we get this new project done. Anybody else got any questions for Matt? If not, Matt, thanks for coming on tonight and bringing us up to date on it. Do you want, the I&I is the same, right?
Yeah, the I&I, we're just waiting for final approval from DEC on our engineering report, and then they'll release the last $50,000 of grant to you.
Yeah, okay. Did you know that we put in for that MBRC grant, or going to, for that 500 we couldn't get before?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I think that's on the agenda. Yeah, it is. Okay. So no one has any questions for Matt? And I saw John was on the phone as well. Maybe you'd like to stay on and hear the latest on FEMA.
Absolutely.
Okay. The police report was in the package. And the only thing different or new would be on the 29th. We'll have a 141-foot vessel at the dock downtown at Frink Park at 8 o'clock in the morning until 3. It was something that DeWitt Withington arranged for somebody while he was out there working. And so we can look for them on the 29th. It's a Matthew Flinder, F-L-I-N-D-E-R. I brought it up and I'm not just sure what we got coming. It might be originally was a workboat and it's been turned into a yacht. There was a couple of different things about it, and, but you might want to stop down, take a look at it on the 29th. That's all there is on the police reports. Anybody got any questions?
This is Nancy Hyde. I don't have a question. I just have a comment. And I would like to thank Kevin and his officers along with the Drug Task Force for what they accomplished last Tuesday. He got glowing reports by the Drug Task Force. And if we hadn't had his help, it would have continued to drag on. That's been quite a problem going on up there for well over a year. And I just think it's great that it all finally was taken care of. I have a number of my patients work for various enforcement agencies, and they've all said very good things about our police force and how good they are to work with. And they've also been very encouraging of, no, keep your local police force because they know what's going on in your community. And I just want to thank our local police for taking care of it, because that's been a terrible situation going on up there. So thank you.
You know, hopefully these rules get changed and you can get people to make a move out of town. That would even be better. But that isn't going to happen right now with this COVID restriction on. But they did a great job. Okay, anyone else? No? Terry Jones, are you there?
I'm here, Norma. How's everybody this evening?
Okay.
You all have a copy of my report. There's also an add-on letter that I drafted to the board about the issues that we've had with FEMA. I sent them a letter a couple of weeks ago. We've had Bartlett and Judas going over a lot of engineering things. We've had ongoing delays. It's been a year and a half. COVID's been here. It's delayed everything because we're doing everything by phone. So FEMA's unable to actually physically come here and look at the issues that we have. So, you know, I guess the best advice or speaking with John Condino from B&L, is depending on what the village board would like to do is possibly bond for that project. We're still in the process. FEMA hasn't given us the go-ahead yet to do the project. Get the ball rolling, and possibly by the time we get permits and everything, it would be around the same time the Ready project comes out. We could do the dock, the FEMA project, along with the Ready project, which would entail hopefully having the same contractor. And then once FEMA hopefully allows the project to be approved, we would get reimbursed up to 75% from FEMA for the project of the shoreline stabilization at the Riverwalk and then the replacement of the new dock. Obviously, there's no promises, but we definitely have to do something down there for safety reasons. I mean, it's been a year and a half. We've tried to work with them. I'm not blaming FEMA. I know they've got their hands full of a lot of other things. We're not the only, dog at the park, so to speak, but we need to address it. And the sooner we do, we can nail down a contractor and get this taken care of.
I think, Terry, where I was disappointed with the FEMA conversation was that about 2 weeks ago, I got hold of Senator Schumer's office to give us some help on getting through this FEMA process. And when FEMA came back and we told them what we had done, they said, well, we should have done it earlier because that's the only way it'll happen. It's to get, you'll be denied, and then your senator has to go to bat for you, and it's just a process, and that's how they keep putting you off. I think we've got to stick with Schumer and FEMA and figure out how we're going to move forward. We can't wait for FEMA to go through 40 different denials and then give it to you.
Right, agreed. Dexter had a similar issue.
Oswego did the same thing.
Harbor and Oswego, and I believe they were all successful in getting approved by FEMA.
Yeah,
so
and FEMA,
obviously it's a lot of hoops we have to jump through. So
just part of a lengthy process, but this is the second summer that we've had that Riverwalk looking really bad, and we need to get it fixed.
And John, I think John Condino's on the line. If you have anything to add, John,
I am Terry, and I think Terry and Norma, you've stated things very well. I would find it hard to believe that in the end, frankly, that the village would get denied from FEMA. And the sad thing is that we can't even get a response from them. So we're not quite sure. We're sort of in limbo right now. The way these FEMA projects work is that you work with folks through Division of Homeland Security's from New York State. They're affectionately known as the DISHES folks. And they administer these FEMA projects. They've been good. They've been great advocates. Terry, one minor correction. If you recall, we actually had a FEMA subcontractor on site to do the examination and report. Gosh, when was it? This was last fall.
Oh yes, yep, you're correct.
And he submitted, frankly, his favorable recommendation to the project. So, again, I think Norma's right. This is a bit of political jockeying here. I think in the end, I'm personally confident. I think that the village will ultimately get their reimbursement. It's a project that we all know you can't avoid. You got to do. You got to fix that Riverwalk. You got to put the docks back out there. And just for everybody's understanding, to fix the Riverwalk and to put the dock system out there, which is actually a dock and wave attenuator system, it's not an insubstantial project. It's about $1.6 million. So when you talk about the village's commitment to get that done, you're talking a very significant amount of money. And sadly enough, it would be nice to get it to coincide with the Ready project, which, by the way, I guess just a quick update on that. We've come to another major milestone with those projects. We've gotten what's called the 60% design submission into the Ready Commission. We are finishing up the joint application permits for the environmental permits. Those will be submitted. So ultimately, we're still on schedule to get the Ready projects bid this summer, and frankly hold to the schedule where we've always talked about starting those projects right after Labor Day. And it would be great to do the same as Terry was saying. We've talked about maybe there's a way we can make this all happen at once. Maybe even get the same contractor to do both the Ready projects and the FEMA project, and clear up that whole issue with the Riverwalk, the docks out there, Park, Mary Street Dock, etc. So it is probably something that I would recommend the board consider from the standpoint of maybe have a leap of faith and moving forward, bonding for the project. But we're here and available and ready to discuss the details.
Right. I think that Nancy and Joe, we got to think about this bond and move forward. We've been way too long with this mess downtown on the Riverwalk to not get it tied in with the Ready Grant project and get it done. We'll give that some thought, John, and get you in the loop so we can hopefully move forward that way.
And at any point, Nancy or Joe or Norma, we'd be certainly more than happy enough to come down, and we'll sit down and we'll map out this whole thing and talk about the specifics of what the board, would have to do in terms of what the bonding amount would be.
Okay, that sounds good, John. Let's set up a time that they would be available and see if we can't get this to move forward. It was amazing when I talked to Schumer's office. I mean, they get a lot of FEMA calls.
Sure.
We were certainly not the first one.
Sure. So anyway, the sooner we could come down and have those discussions, I think the better off the bills would be.
Is there any time, Joe and Nancy, that you'd like to get together with John and kind of talk this out?
I'm open at any time, any day that he needs to.
Good.
Fridays, I am available all day, most Fridays. And then Monday through Thursday, anytime 12 or after, most days. Sometimes I have other commitments, but I'm flexible.
Maybe we could put something together for this Friday.
That's wonderful with me.
Well, we got to get it advertised because there'll be 3 people there, maybe 4 if Jeremy can.
Okay. Norma, why don't you figure that out with Joanne, and maybe
is there a time, John, that would work for you?
Yeah, I mean, I can pretty much accommodate, my schedule. Fridays at this point seem good. So if you've got to advertise this as a work session, which it seems like you may have to do, if you'd like, maybe a week from Friday.
That would be better for me.
Okay. No, why don't we?
What time do you want, John?
You name the time. I'm pretty open on Fridays. We've got actually, you know what? It'd be better maybe if it were like early afternoon, because we have a weekly progress meeting on the Ready project.
Right, we do.
So why don't we say 1 or 2 o'clock?
1 o'clock?
1 o'clock, sure.
Does that sound good, Nancy and Joe?
Works for me.
Week from Friday, 1 o'clock? Okay.
So that would be.
And Terry, maybe you can join us.
Yep. We need Terry there too.
Yeah. Yeah, and get Terry in on it.
This Friday?
Nope, it'd be May 7th.
A week from Friday.
Yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's plan on
Thank
that.
you.
Thanks, Norma.
Thank you, John.
Okay, you're very welcome.
Okay, Terry, do you want to give us a little update on the Riverside Drive issue that we have?
Yeah, I did go down to Mr. Muggleton, the property down there at 708 Riverside Drive, I do see, as the pictures do show, there is some deterioration there. I did take pictures myself. It's very well put together. It does show that wall is in the village's right of way. And I believe, according to Mr. Muggleton, that the village did some work back in 08. Was it Mr. Muggleton, was it a similar issue? Was it doing the same thing, or did they replace the wall? What went on in 08?
Yes, well, good evening, thanks. Yes, it was October of 2007. It was just replacing kind, so the face blocks were replaced as required.
Now, was there some sort of agreement with the board at that time, or was it just because they said it was in the right of way, so it was the village's responsibility, or how did that all play out? Do you remember?
Well, would you like the chronology? I'd be glad to give you a brief summary of the chronology.
Sure.
Okay, sure. So, so for the people who aren't familiar, my name is Marty Muggleton. My parents were Joe and Dorothy, and I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to chit chat. So in the mid to late 1990s, there was a project done on Riverside Drive on the one-way section that required roadway repair. And if I remember correctly, although it's a little foggy to me, there may have been water line improvements at the time. The desire of the village was to build a retaining wall on the west side of Riverside Drive to support the work that was being completed. So my father had a bit of a handshake agreement with Mayor Kenyon at the time to get that done. Roughly in the spring of 2007, the wall had deteriorated, and my father had a meeting with Mayor Kenyon at the time to talk about the deterioration. In September of 2007, the mayor wrote us a letter indicating that the village had agreed to repair the walls, and the repairs were done in the fall of 2007. I believe it was late October. Rusty and his crew came in. So in the fall of 2019, I sent a report to the mayor detailing the deterioration that had occurred again, and had some discussions. I had some discussions with the mayor, and I believe the Commissioner of Public Works was involved. So then earlier this year, I sent that information again, and that brings us to our meeting now. A couple of documents you may have in front of you. One is the letter dated September 25th, 2007 from the mayor to my sister Mary, outlining the commitment and bringing in Rusty Johnson Masonry, and we accommodated Rusty with water and power at the location. And the other document is a multi-page assessment of the wall as condition October 2nd, 2019. So I think the proposition we have as property owners, as a family, as property owners, is we would ask the village to commit to repair the wall again, and then we should just work on a schedule that accommodates the interests of both parties. And I'm glad to answer any questions.
Oh, Marty, do you know if there was an easement granted when that work was done? I can't seem to find one.
No.
And I went through a lot of minutes and tried to come up with somewhere where there was an agreement, excuse me, where the village would be responsible forever for that retaining wall. I couldn't find.
Mayor, I think you're right about that. I think in the 90s, my guess is a handshake agreement between my father and Dale was probably adequate. I think I heard your Commissioner of Public Works may have said something slightly different than what I would have said. So I think the report of October 2019 indicates that the wall is outside of the right of way of the village. There's a survey pin that indicates at least the northern section of that wall is in fact on our property, not on the village's property.
Okay, according to the blueprint that I saw, that it shows a 25 feet off center right away. And when you measure over that 25 feet exceeds, it's about where the edge of your flower box is. It actually cuts straight through the neighboring property's bedroom or living room or whatever's on the front end of that. If you look at the blueprint, if they're accurate.
And the blueprints are from the,
Those are the original blueprints from the project of 1999 when they did the sewer upgrade on that street.
what was a sewer line? Okay, right. Well, a couple of comments on that. I don't know if those are design documents. And in full disclosure, I've worked in architecture and engineering for about 17 years now. So those may be design documents that were handed off for construction bidding. Generally speaking, at the close of a project, they're what are called as-built drawings,
Yep.
which would indicate and grab any necessary adjustments and methods of contracting that's required. So my reference point is specifically the survey pin on the corner. I don't have access to as-built drawings, but the survey pin is in the wall, is in the top of the wall.
Okay.
So to me, I didn't feel there's any need to survey that line. I think the indication is the village built the wall outside of the village right away onto our properties. And to answer the mayor's question, I don't believe any easements was granted, nor do we as a family believe that we need an easement. We'll be glad to work with the village as we have for, oh geez, my family's been in Clayton, New York, way over 100 years now. And we've certainly enjoyed the village and how it's changing.
Nancy and Joe, did you go down and take a look at where this is?
Yes, I went down today with Terry and looked at it. And I do see where the problems are. My thoughts and or suggestion is, since we're having a workshop meeting on May 7th, maybe we should bring this into the conversation, because it's a very involved project, and it's not going to be inexpensive. So I have a hard time making a decision tonight on a yay or nay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking maybe since we can be together on May 7th, we could have further discussion at that time. It's just thoughts.
Okay. We'll put,
And I'll take a trip down there tomorrow morning and take a look at it. I haven't stopped down yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
Joe, I'll be around in the morning if you want to go down there, if you want me to go down with you.
That'd be fantastic. Thank you very much.
You got it, buddy.
Mayor, would you like me to attend the May 7th meeting?
okay, Marty, are you in town?
Not
No.
normally. Oh, so this is not a virtual meeting on May 7th.
No. We're kind of fading out of virtual meetings, hopefully, but this is going to be a workshop meeting that we're going to do with B&L, and we could wrap this in as Nancy suggested so that the board could see everything. In the meantime, I might find an easement, something, I don't know. I've done quite a lot of research trying to find anything where the board had any agreements, and I couldn't find anything.
Could I call into the meeting on the 7th?
I can see if we can arrange that for you, sure.
Or I could call somebody's cell number and you could just
Right,
speakerphone.
and we could give you a call. I've got your number, Marty.
Yeah.
And once we get this meeting established on May 7th, I'll give you a call.
All right. I certainly appreciate that. And once again, thanks everybody for your consideration of this matter.
Okay, thanks, Marty.
Thank you.
Okay, Terry, do you have anything else?
I just wanted to remind everyone that the brush and household goods pickup is May 3rd. The town highway department will be helping us. They will be picking up the household good aspects of it, and our village crew will be doing the brush and leaf debris and that kind of stuff. We go by one time. If you get it out after we're gone by, sorry,
Oh, we got one
But
thing.
we didn't get a chance to do it last year, so I'm expecting a lot of household goods due to the COVID. So hopefully it goes well, and we can take care of everybody and make everybody as happy as we can make them.
Now, I sent out a note to the board. What do you want to do about Mary Street Dock and Rotary Park? Are we, people want to come back to work, and Terry's got to get to them. And what's the board think they want to do here? We know Rotary Park's going to be open, and you had figured on 2 people down there, Terry?
That's correct.
Right. And we've got money in the budget, 30,000, and so we've got some money that we could open up Mary Street if that's what you think you want to do.
I was under the impression in our last budget meeting that we were going to open up Mary Street because that's why we have the money in the budget. So
Right.
that was my impression. There'd be 2 people at Mary Street and 2 people at Rotary Park.
Right. And that's what Terry has thought would make it work. They wouldn't be open, someone there every day, I don't believe, at Mary Street, correct?
No, we would abbreviate it as much as we could, Norma.
Yeah.
We'd go for the weekend, Wednesday through Sunday, set that type of thing, and alternate shifts and just work around, just to have it open, to get some revenue, to get the bathrooms open, to get it lived in again, to get some action down there again.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be some activity, and we want to look like we're open for business, and it would look better for the village if it was open, I think.
Agreed.
So you've got 2 people that want to come back down there too, Terry?
I have 3 people that want to come back. They've worked for us before. There was a 4th person, but she called me, but I have not seen her. She was supposed to stop by. But I can check up on that, but obviously we'd probably have to run ads anyway.
Yeah, well, why don't you run through the schedule and see what you can get down there, and Memorial Day you'd start or before?
I would say that's good, being that, Canada is still closed down. I don't think we need to hurry and get everybody down there for Victoria weekend. I think we'll work at our holiday and we'll go from there.
Does that sound okay to the rest of the board?
Yeah, that sounds good
Yeah,
to
it's
me.
fine with me. Yes.
Okay, Terry, you get your people lined up. You're lucky you've got people that want to work.
Isn't that the truth?
Oh, it's terrible. Terrible. Okay, thanks, Terry, and we'll have both of the bathrooms and the docks open by Memorial Day.
Okay, I will get on it. Yep.
Okay, thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Okay, who's going to speak for the wastewater treatment plant? I see I've got Star, and I've got Thomas, and I think we've got Rob. We've got all kinds of people. So who wants to lead off on this?
I'll go ahead and cover it, Norma. And if I needed, we can call Rob and Star in as well.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. So first thing is we have Rob issued the report last week for review. Major items on there, obviously no violations for this month of at the speedies permit. We went ahead and submitted the annual water withdrawal report to New York State DEC. And then otherwise there were 12 call-ins for the month. 5 of those call-ins were associated with the River Shore pump station transducer. That's actually going to be replaced tomorrow. So next month we shouldn't have that occur anymore. And then as Rob has noted in some previous meetings, so we had some issues with some of the generators at the lift station. The contractor has come and repaired those, along with the waste valve at the water treatment plant. Other than that, the guys have been busy with water runs. I think in the month of April, we're up to almost 40 at this point.
Oh, good. They're coming back home this summer, and that's a good thing. Are you going to present the resolution for the MBRC grant?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yep. I guess, does anyone have any questions on the report? Nancy and Joe.
No questions here.
No, nothing, thank you.
Yeah, so I included in the packet, or for Joanne to put on, is that last year the village applied for the NBRC grant, and the application was denied for the sheer fact that the village already had an application, or already had a grant in place. And this year, the previous grant has advanced far enough where they cannot deny the application on that basis, and the village has a strong application with everything that's going on downtown. So I'm requesting the board pass a resolution similar to last year in support of the application, which would be for $500,000 to go towards the wastewater project that's currently out to bid, and it would allow Norma to sign the application. The application is due May 14th. And I'm in the process now of putting it together, and we've solicited letters of support from various businesses to include in that application.
Do you want Joanne to do a roll call vote on this resolution, Thomas?
Let me pull up, I don't think that was done last year, so.
Okay, so would somebody make the motion to go for this MBRC grant?
I'll make the motion for the grant.
Thank you, Nancy. Do I have a
And I'll
second?
second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so we got that taken care of for you, Thomas. And French Creek, you want to talk about that?
Yep. So included also is the French Creek Marina. There's a portion of the campground that was on a private septic system that they would like to connect that into the village's sewer system for use during the summer months. And then obviously when French Creek shuts down in for the summer and no longer sends sewer flow, the permanent residents that are on this system will go back to the private septic system. They have to go through the Department of Health, and the Department of Health is requiring that the village sign off on being able to set these flows, in addition to obviously the village's application process. So I've reviewed the application that was submitted and agree with the additional flow that they're proposing, which is 760 gallons per day roughly. We have the capacity to take that. It would be through their existing connection that they already have over there. And so really we need just the okay from the board to approve receiving the additional flow. Included with that is that discussed with Norma that the village currently has the offset fee plan in place that goes away at the end of this capital project that's currently out to bid. And it would be up to the board's decision if they would like to discontinue assessing those offset fees for the future, for the connections that are being made this year, as that is not going to be necessary here moving forward.
Those offset fees go way back when we hadn't done a lot of work at the treatment plant. So we had to accommodate gallons in, gallons out. And the Walls have paid an offset fee before for some work that we did up there, I believe. So I would think with the new project, that won't be something we'll have to do, and we should waive the fees for the French Creek project. Would somebody want to make a motion to do that?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yep.
Thank you, Thomas, for working with them and DOH to get this thing done with them. Okay. Okay, Thomas has put together a response for this ad that was in the paper regarding the fund balance issues that Paula had an issue with. So do you want to address those, please, Thomas?
Yeah, did you include that email in the report, Norma? To the board or?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so just kind of as a recap for the board members. So the village, I guess most importantly, the village has implemented an asset management plan that kind of goes back to 2009. And then since then, that was most recently updated in November of 2020. And will be updated again this fall by myself to help capture all the improvements that are being done at the village's water and wastewater plant. And it's also to help, identify future capital projects and repairs for the critical infrastructure. Yes, in this most recent plan, there were some near-term projects that were identified that need to be completed within the next 5 years. One of those is obviously the meter upgrade that we've budgeted for in the 2021-2022 project. But then there's also the raw water intake replacement and pigging station installation at the low lift pump station. The first phase of that is anticipated to cost approximately $30,000, which would be for the engineering report phase. And then also included in the AMP was that the prior project had recommended that the entire distribution system in the village be replaced due to age and other factors. But the estimated cost for that portion of the work was $2 million. And so the village opted not to proceed with that because it would just increase the cost beyond what was affordable at the time. And so now that's going to have to be replaced in kind of high priority areas. As you know, last year there was 2 breaks intersection over by Kinney Drugs. We budgeted $15,000 this year for the engineering consultant fees because that's on the state right away. But it's estimated the cost is $70,000 to replace that couple hundred feet, and that's only one of many sections in the village that need to be repaired. That we're going to work with Terry and kind of be smart about replacing it, but the costs are going to add up very quickly. I guess in addition to that, there is a valve replacement plan that's being worked on. There's a number of valves in the village that don't work, and there's over 100 of them that are essentially past their useful life. And, the valves themselves can cost $2,000, $2,500, and then by the time there's the parts and labor to put them in, we're looking at, roughly $5,000 a piece just to start replacing those as needed. So we don't have to shut down 6 or 7 valves to try to stop the water so the guys can make the repairs. Again, those are just the assets that are past their useful life. And then there are the new replacement items that, depending on what happens, obviously they're supposed to last 10 years or more, but we all know that everything lasts the way it should. And so we need to have some money available in case, there's a major issue up at the water plant or down at the low lift pump station and something needs to be replaced right now. It happens at other facilities. A simple lightning strike can take out, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 worth of equipment that, we have to pay for right now while we work through other sources of funding. Then I I went back and looked at the water rates. The village rates haven't changed since fiscal year 16-17. And at that time, they went from $306 for the fixed rate and $420 for the variable rate. They were revised to $315 for the fixed rate and $4 for the variable rate. Based on the standard consumption the village has used of 73,000 gallons per year. Actually, the average cost of consumption based on that 73,000 gallons went down from in 16-17 to what they are now, from $612 a year to $607, which is what the current typical residential user would pay if they use 73,000 gallons. So that's kind of the information that I had shared with Norma, and she asked for me to cover with you guys.
I think another thing too we should bring to their attention this year, because of COVID, our EDUs went down by 80. So in our budget, we had 80 EDUs that we are not going to be able to generate the income off from. So that money will be coming out of the water fund balance. And I think Thomas gave us a really good overview of things that can happen, and they can happen quickly. We need to be able to respond, and I think that we've been pretty fortunate here not to have boil water and don't use water. We have a great source for our water, but it costs money to treat it and to make the distribution. And it's just good to know that when you get up in the morning and turn the water on, it's always there for you. Does anybody have any questions for Thomas?
This is Joe. I don't. Not at this point.
Okay. Anyone else? Thanks for bringing that to light. There were a couple other questions other than the fund balance seemed to be one of the biggest ones that was on this ad. As far as the taxes go this year, we'll be talking about that when we approve the budget. And I guess what is not troubling, but here we've got a fund balance in water and sewer, and which is a good thing. And we have a lot of things that we have to take care of at both of those facilities. And we've been criticized numerous times because we don't have a fund balance in our general fund. We've kind of turned the corner on that this last year, and so we're working on, the board made a commitment to work on the fund balance for the general fund. So we're trying to do the best we can for you. And on the transparency thing, Paul, I don't know who you want to address that to. Was that a political promise this year? I didn't have a chance to read your email this morning. I was trying to respond to what you had in the paper. If Joe and Nancy want to comment on transparency, feel free. No comments?
Well, no, I don't have anything to add. If Paul has direct questions to any of us, I'm sure we're very willing to answer them, but I don't have anything more to add.
Okay. So, Thomas is all set there. We'll move on to the excuse me, consent agenda. Does anyone on the board have any questions for that? Items 1, 2, and 3? If not, would somebody make a motion to approve it?
I'll make the motion for 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you. And a second, Joe?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. On the capital projects, any questions there? If not, can I have a motion to approve item 4?
I'll make that motion for item 4.
Thank you. Joe?
And I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, on the application or the question that came up at the last meeting about a fence that was wanted down at the Coffee Co. Do we want to discuss that a little more?
Oh, this is Joe Chrisman. Well, I met with Lori, but before I met with Lori, I stopped at DOT and looked at their maps and right-of-ways and stuff like that. And the sidewalk coming up in front of Lori's is going to be red, which I didn't know until I looked at the maps. It's like a Riverwalk extension. and I have a problem with a fence going across the Riverwalk, so to say. I think it would interrupt the foot flow coming up and down in front of the stores. And also, DOT is getting me a letter, a copy of it, where the Lyric and Bella's are going to be unable to put their fences up as well. Seating is not a problem. It's the fencing which blocks the flow of traffic.
I think I was aware of one. See, DOT never gave any approval to have the original 2 fences put up. The village board gave approval for them, and it never went any further than that. So when they were here doing the design of the project, they saw those fences, and I knew that we didn't have 5 foot apparently ever at the Lyric. But so the DOT is not going to authorize that. And I guess I don't understand. I think, Nancy, you might have been in on this conversation when we met with DOT on all the amenities they were going to put downtown for pavers and all that stuff. And I think the thought process was that is not Riverwalk going up through there. We got 3 phases of Riverwalk, 1, 2, and 3, and the last piece is that one by Key Bank. The idea to make the walk pink to match the Riverwalk was maybe it would encourage people to get off the Riverwalk, see that, and continue on up the street. But as far as that being designated as Riverwalk, that is not Riverwalk. There's no plans right now. Ideally, you'd go down past, you can't, I think it's already in writing someplace that you can't go behind those condos, the original ones down there. But, you know, if you get it up on the street that way or whatever, but that's a 5 or 6 years away, even thinking about probably another section of Riverwalk. So the question we had was from Dick Ingerson. He wanted the board to make a decision about the fence. And that was put up here by the applicant. And if you're not in favor of that, it can't do it anyway because DOT isn't going to do it. If the road's ever turned back, and when it is, over to just the village, might take another look at it. But for the time being, I don't think you can put any fence up there or do anything with it.
Well, it might not be part of the Riverwalk, but it's designed to look like it is. So,
it's a little pink concrete.
I mean, well, it's going to be red concrete, just like the Riverwalk is.
Yeah, right.
So it's designed to look like the Riverwalk, whether it's an extension or not. But then you're going to put a fence through it.
Well, we can't because DOT is not going to. I don't think they're going to take it to DOT at this point in time.
Correct.
So I think it's off the table as far as a fence down there. I think she's going to make some other improvements on the coffee cone. But so I just wanted, if that's the direction we've got to go, I just think that somebody's got to get back to her and tell her that. Agreed?
Yes, agreed. And when I had conversations with zoning over the last couple of weeks, the feeling, not the feeling was, he said he would not recommend that we approve it because as you do for one, you've got to do for all. And my impression from the meetings a couple of years ago was that was the Riverwalk and the sidewalk would be red, so.
No, the Riverwalk is just up to Key Bank.
Okay.
Well, that's
I
neither
talked
here
with
nor
Mr.
there.
Ingerson as well.
Anyway. Do you not
And
want
he
the
didn't
Riverwalk?
recommend
Do you not want it to be pink, or do you? I don't think it's too late to take the pink out of it if that's an issue now.
that's not an issue.
Okay,
The color is not an issue. No.
okay, good. Okay, so I'll have, I think she's going to take it to Dick now to get the rest of it approved. And I'll just let him know that we did not approve it, okay? There's,
Yeah.
okay. On the new business, we've got the budget that we did everything on, and we had the public hearing last board meeting 2 weeks ago. This note that wanted to be included before the budget, the public hearing was 2 weeks ago, and I think this email was in response to the ad in the paper. So, Joanne, do you want to read that? They'd asked if we would read it at the this meeting.
Yes, I'd be happy to. I only received, well, I received 2 emails, but from the same family, I assume, James Wheaton and Elizabeth Wheaton. They asked to share, please share the following with the village board prior to fiscal year 2022 budget finalization. Number 1, I support the Clayton Financial Oversight Group's recommendation to reduce the water fund balance surplus. Number 2, I support redirecting part of the water fund balance surplus to lower water bills and or to avoid increases in village taxes. Thank you for your efforts to advise the village board of this request before the budget gets approved on April 26, 2020.
Thank you, Joanne. Okay, just briefly, the budget's been online. We've had the public hearing. The rate will be increased by 6 cents a thousand. The new rate is 7.812377. And the village board and the mayor's salaries remain the same as they have for 10, 12 years, I believe now. 5,000 mayor, deputy mayor 575, and the 4 trustees have a total of $11,000 in salary. And we do not have a health benefit. So what you see is what you got. So Joanne, do you want to read the resolution to adopt the village budget?
Yes. A public
Before we do that, Norma, I just got the budget, the new revised version, and I got to run it against our old copy to make sure. I'm just not ready to vote on it tonight.
Well, we have to, Joe. We have to have this budget. We had the public hearing. We had the correct budget given to us on March 26th. And
all of Paul Luck's questions haven't been answered yet.
We're down here in the next section to a public hearing is to hear. We heard Paul. We've got the answers for him here. And
we did not hear Paul. All he did was submit a list of questions.
Absolutely.
And you said you would answer all of his questions.
And we've got all his questions, and there's just one thing left on it that the board has to commit to or talk about. Then we can submit those answers back to Paul. But that's not going to have any effect on this budget. We have to have the budget passed so we can meet the deadline of May, whatever, 1st.
May 1st, the budget has to be in.
Absolutely. And we've had 2 weeks for the board to talk about this. There was no questions, nothing.
Well, I
don't
got
know
the
why you
revised
didn't have the
version.
correct budget.
I just got the revised version. It was just mailed out this weekend.
That budget was the same one we had on March 26th that Joanne gave us. There was a workshop budget. We had the workshop. We had that budget, made some changes, corrections, changed how things were going to work out. And Tina came up with the new budget that was presented to the board on March 26th for the public hearing.
And that's the same one? There's nothing changed?
Nothing was changed from the public hearing, no.
But I do have a question as I look through the budget today. And it's in reference to parking meters and the parking attendance. And my understanding was at our workshop meeting the second one, that we had all agreed that we would have parking attendants this year to take care of the meters. And we have in there budgeted $5,956, which would,
Yeah,
not-
and-
which
Go
does
ahead, Nancy.
not, pardon me,
Go ahead.
which does not cover the two individuals doing the parking meters.
But we put in the budget also 21,000 for revenue.
For where
So
revenue into
parking
the,
account revenue is, that's considerably less because we didn't think we would have as many meters up this year.
but my understanding from our budget workshop is we would put meters up, and as streets began to free up due to construction, meters would be put up. Therefore, there would be meters up easily by the end of the summer into July in the normal places. That was
And-
my understanding from our second workshop.
Right, and there's money in the police budget to cover that. And
Well,
the
what I
21
see, and maybe I have the wrong category, is $5,956. It says police, or it says parking, personal services.
Right,
But that's not enough monies to take care of two guys working, two individuals.
well, Kevin didn't think we'd have them for, two all the time. He was comfortable with that. And this was in the budget to start with. And there is some money in the budget, police budget, for, not just for people, period, that want to work. If this doesn't come out of parking meters, we're in a situation right now to have this conversation with board members about this is difficult.
Well, but the board decided at the second meeting that we would be putting up the parking meters.
Right, and
so are we putting parking meters up, or are we waiting to get kiosks?
no, we're not going to have a kiosk system this summer. But I
So
thought
we'll
we were going to put parking meters up where we could and when we could to get us through this summer. And that almost $6,000 would cover the meter person, and there's 21,000 in the budget on the revenue side, which is considerably less than we normally would get. Because we aren't going to need a parking person until we get meters up, and I think it's going to be later. I mean, everything is there, so.
Well, I think then we have to be prepared to see, as the budget continues, that this particular category will not match up to the actual numbers, and that the rest of the money will be coming then out of the police, the police fund. Because that's not going to be enough. He's planning on 48 hours a week for 26 weeks. So I think that just needs to be.
Well, that's an expectation that we'll have to address, because I don't want to hold up this budget over that parking meter situation. I don't think we'll have meters there'll be any on James Street probably for quite a while. Then there's issues down on Riverside Drive to address. Where we need them the most is on John Street, because that.
Well, no, we need them the most also on Riverside Drive, because you can be pretty well assured, and you know this extremely well, those apartments and other people, we know it's the same thing year after year. So we do have to have the meters up. Otherwise, all the local residents will be parking there, and there'll be no parking for the tourists. And I think it's going to be a banner year myself.
Oh, I think everybody downtown is excited about the summer, that, people.
Right, but we need to make sure that the parking meters go up, and go up as soon as capable.
I agree, Nance. As soon as we can get them up, the better off it'll be. We can't turn away any source of income.
Okay, so we'll get, at one time we thought we would like the parking meter post painted black, I had somebody volunteered that they wanted to touch up the fire hydrants. Maybe we could get them to paint those posts black to put up down on Riverside Drive and get those up before Memorial Day. Does that sound like okay?
Yeah, I think we need to go with what our normal schedule is, what DPW and police work on this together and then put up what we can. And as more space becomes available, we put up more
Right.
meters. But I think you'll
Correct.
have them all up before the end of the summer.
Oh, I think by the end of the summer, we should be, hopefully, they're way ahead of
Yeah,
schedule.
no, I think we're gonna be in great shape by the end of the summer.
So with the meter issue put to bed.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that is
Sure.
in the minutes.
Okay,
we
and I
need meters.
just have one question for Joanne. Were Paul's questions put into the record?
Yes, they are. They're in the minutes that, with the public hearing.
Okay,
Our last board meeting. I have a copy of all his questions in with the minutes.
okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So can we have a motion from Nancy or Joe to, on this, to present this resolution?
I'll make that motion for resolution presentation.
Okay,
And I'll second it.
okay, and Joanne, do you want to do a roll call vote?
Yes, Mayor Zimmer,
Yes.
Deputy Hyde.
Yes.
Trustee Kellogg is absent. Trustee Chrisman,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, that is taken care of. Do you want to help us out here, Joanne, on that request for the Sunset Series?
Yes. It's Laura Duell, I think her last name is. And she is requesting Sundays in June, July, August, except for July 4th, 6:30 PM to 8:30 PM for concerts.
It's the same series we've had for a number of years. Last year, they didn't do it, I don't believe, because of COVID.
Yes,
But
correct.
it's been a pretty nice event down there on Sunday evenings. People have enjoyed it, so,
And that would be at Frank Park.
correct.
So I'll let her know that that's okay and put it in the calendar, and if that's okay with everybody.
I'm fine with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I
about
think it's a
Nancy,
great
though.
idea.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay, and you'll get back to her, Joanne, and let her know?
Yes, I will email her.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And you seem to have a conversation with this water sewer bill person,
Yes,
and they're looking to have the late fee only waived, right?
yes, the late fee waived because he did not get a bill the first time because it was in between billing periods. And I believe that, you know how the lawyers never fill out that change of address form. I'm thinking that's what happened. And then he hasn't paid his bill for March because he's waiting for an answer on this. So that's another penalty, 4131. So he asked for penalties to be removed.
What, I don't know, I've situations before on these issues, we've done it once, and that's one and done.
Joanne, clarify for me, please. He wants both?
Well, he was
He wants
waiting.
the 43 for October and then the 41 for March?
Yeah,
But he
Yes,
got the March bill, right?
yes, he got the March bill, but he didn't get the October or the one before that.
I don't know,
Well, it seems to
they
be
were
very,
due on the 5th of April, right?
Yes,
The last water bill was due the 5th, no, the 14th, because we had
Oh, yeah, we had an extension.
So was out a little ways. Do we want to waive just one of them?
I'm
We
okay
had-
with waiving October, but I don't agree with waiving March.
Well, he was waiting to hear an answer. And then when I did the penalties, of course, I had to do the penalties. It's way after the deadline. And the penalty for his bill came up, but he's been waiting for an answer. So, I mean, he's going to argue the fact that, well, I've been waiting for an answer, so I didn't pay the bill.
When did he come to you? On the last day it was due?
This email is April 12th, so yeah, pretty much.
I guess I don't know why the March bill would have any impact on the, gotta pay one, I don't know. It's up to you guys. What do you
Yep.
want to do?
I agree with
Joanne,
Norma, that you wouldn't stop paying. Well, I agree. I would excuse October. I will not excuse March.
I concur with that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I will let him know.
Okay, so we're gonna waive the first one and not the second one, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and let them know we don't do this every day.
So I'll have him call one of you when he's screaming at me.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, at the public hearing, Paul Luck submitted 23 questions, and next day he had 3 more. We have responses ready to send back to him. I couldn't send it back because I couldn't complete it until we had a board meeting, because one question needs to have a commitment from the board. The questions that he had, we had sewer people, water people, Tina got involved, the treasurer got involved. We've got them all lined up to do. So the question that Paul has that I don't have an answer for was the concern whether the village has a capital plan. And would the board be committed to developing a comprehensive capital plan during fiscal year 2022? I don't know how you feel, Nancy and Joe, about making a commitment to have a capital plan, which is very time consuming, and we're in the process right now of hiring another person. We've been a year, we've got an asset management plan that the water sewer people have done. We've got the one for the rest of the community that is in pretty good shape that Star Carter's been working on with Terry. And our goal was to try to have that done by June 1st. I'm not sure we're going to meet that goal. We just don't have enough hours in the day to get it all done. So if I myself am not going to commit to a capital plan to have it done in fiscal 2022, I'm not comfortable with that. But if you and Nancy and Joe feel comfortable with that, then you can spearhead that and make it happen. I don't think I can. Once we get the new girl here or a new person, and we have some relief in the front office to help Joanne, COVID is behind us and a lot of other things, we can focus on something like that. I know that's not the answer Paul wants to hear, but I'm not in a position where I'm going to commit to something that I'm not sure I can make happen. But if Joe and Nancy are comfortable with this question, I'll respond for you.
Well, I think the village and the residents would elect us into this position deserve a comprehensive plan of some kind.
Well, we've got a comprehensive
I know
plan.
on the board, well, it's been promised for a few years now that it'll be done, and it hasn't been. If you go back into earlier board minutes, and back in 18 or 19, and nothing's been done on it. So I'd like to try to work on one. If Paul Luck will, give me a hand with it, hey, I'd be more than willing to do it.
Nancy?
Well, that's interesting, Joe. I think the word that I get hung up on is committed, because I believe my gut feeling is if I commit, it very possibly won't get done. But I would be committed on working towards that goal. And I do believe that if we were able to get a new office individual who has treasury experience, then we have somebody to physically talk to and walk into that individual's office, which is going to make it much easier to develop some of these plans. At this particular point, emails and texting and virtual meetings makes it very, very difficult. So I'm more than happy to work on it, but I believe we wouldn't fulfill the commitment.
Well, hey, Paul, are you on? Is Paul Luck on?
I don't know.
Well, let me get with
Get
with Paul Luck and see if he's willing to work on it. I
Joe,
hate to say
that's
the word
not the
commitment.
answer. That is not the answer. I don't know if you've ever worked on a capital plan. You've got to have a lot of people, a point person within the village government or an employee that can dedicate a lot of time to this. And
I thought I was volunteering.
Pardon?
I thought that's what I was doing, was volunteering for it.
Right. But I
With
don't
help,
think that we want Paul Luck to write our capital plan.
I didn't say just Paul Luck. I'm asking him for
Joe,
help.
can you hear me?
Yes,
can you hear me
Paul,
now?
I can.
I've been
Yes.
on, and for some reason I couldn't unmute. I am on the call.
Would you be willing to help me do a comprehensive plan?
It's not
And
a
I mean,
comprehensive plan. It is a capital plan. Two big.
It's a comprehensive capital plan. It is more than an asset management plan, which the village's plans that I've seen go back to 2011. And Norma is right. It is an undertaking that is time consuming, but it is very important. And as you said, Joe, the history of the board has been that the plan was going to be done in 2018 or 19, and it was weeks away, according to Geneva, and nothing ever came of that. But it's very important.
Well, then we should work on it. We should work on it and move towards that goal. But my gut instinct says we may not fulfill it.
Well, it is a specialized plan, and I think you have a consultant that's probably done this before, could advise them and perhaps even work on it for the village in the FPR.
I hear you, and they have the knowledge. Things have just been so
Well, I don't know about you, Paul,
lately.
but this situation has been going on for a long time, admitted. And if we bring up Geneva, that was a long time ago. We've been digging out of that for the last 3 years and got a lot of things put behind us, and not a capital plan. I'll grant you that. But
well, if you remember, Norma, about 5 or 6 years ago, I volunteered to work on this and was never contacted as far as that offer. So I get it, but I still think it's very important, and I understand if the board is reticent to commit to that. But I think what we heard earlier from your water person shows that the importance of understanding what's in front of them And I'll hold back on saying anything on that because I would like to be part of the public comment later in the meeting agenda.
Okay, so we'll get these, I've got information, Paul, from multiple people to respond to your questions, and we'll take this portion and put it in there and get a written response to you for your questions.
That's very appreciate that, Norma. I would like to, at the next board meeting, be able to read the questions and the responses into the public record versus just having them in the minutes.
Sure.
We did that last year, and I appreciate that.
Okay, not a problem, not a problem. Moving right on to the issue we had with the open meeting law. And Paul had sent and asked for an opinion at open meeting law, and they responded. I will take full responsibility at the executive session. I probably was frustrated, and I was looking to the board for some help on how to keep up with the FOIL request that we had. And that's when we decided to have Joe kind of partner with Joanne and march these things through in a more, quicker than we had been. So that was the response. She came back, and we did a stellar job, I think, by getting the employee handbook done. We took 9 Friday mornings, and put it together, been out to the department heads, it's been to the board. It was a huge project to get done, and apparently we didn't do that right at one meeting, so be it. We'll not ever do that again. There will not be more than 2 people unless we advertise. I thought for a working meeting where there was another person involved, which was the treasurer that was leading this handbook project, that it would be fine, but it wasn't, and we got called out on it, and I appreciate the fact that Christine O'Neill got back to me and gave us an opportunity to respond to the claim that was submitted. So we got that behind us. It's really hard, these virtual meetings and everything that's been going on. And I can't use COVID for an excuse for things, but I think all in all, with the lack of help that we have got through the year, the best we could. The chamber is kind of leading the pack on this 150th anniversary of the village. There was the chamber and the fire department is also celebrating their 135th year next year. So maybe the historian had an idea that maybe we could kind of partner on some things and put on a nice event through 2022. And Justin is going to kind of be the liaison for both of them, which will be helpful. And we should have, there's another meeting scheduled. One they had earlier was at 11 in the morning. Seemed to be some people that wanted to be involved, but they couldn't come during the day, so they're working out a different time. And there'll be another meeting in mid-May. So we'll get that out as soon as we get a time. On the audits, the annual audit is in final review. We were hoping to have it in April, and it's not ready, and I'm sure we aren't going to have it now, but in April. But they're in final review, so that's a good thing. And the one from the comptroller's office, we had a conversation, and Nancy also had one with the auditor. He's wrapped up all his questions and is trying to put it together, and thought it would be 4 or 5 weeks before he presented the audit from them. So we got that out there. On the flag, Joe, you brought it up at a meeting about the municipal one, that we don't have it up when it should be and down, and it is an issue. And we do have a flag policy that we put together a few years ago, and it needs a light on it. We can't, weekends you can't have it up because we don't have somebody that can put it up and take it down. And holidays, we don't have people working, so it's not going to work to depend on manpower to take care of this flag. I asked a couple of people to give me an idea what it would cost to put a light on it. I don't have anything in writing yet, But I would like to pursue getting a light on that flag at the municipal building and do it the way it should be done.
I agree.
It's long overdue. I mean, solar lights, I'm done with solar lights of any kind. So I think I looked at the one that they have down here at Watertown Savings Bank, and it's pretty elaborate. I don't know. I think there'd be a couple of options, but I'd like to move forward on that and see what we can come up with and get a light on it the way it should be. And I will tell you that.
I can talk to Terry tomorrow morning because I'm going
Oh,
over
I've
there.
already talked to you. We've already gone through that.
Okay.
And I've got a couple people that said they would try to get us a price, but everybody is just wicked busy, and I guess we just have to stand in line and get what we can when we can. So, and another thing I'd like the board to think about by the next meeting is to if we have a new person online on board with us, which we're hoping that we can accomplish that before the end of May or before, that we would go back to having regular meetings by the first in June, whatever the date is in June, the first meeting, and just have regular meetings. We'll have the new COVID restrictions by then, hopefully, know how we can do it and get that building open back up. Regular hours, 8 to 4:30, and look like we're alive and well. So we gotta figure that out. Probably our next meeting would be nice. So anything else from the board?
Yes, I have a couple of questions, comments. So when you were speaking about we would hopefully start having regular meetings in June, I think that's a fabulous idea. That's great. So I've had a few people asking me about, will the bathrooms be open at the municipal building this summer? But if we're going to open up for meetings, that would probably be a yes, that they would be open? Or would we just open on Thursdays like you've done in the past?
I think we should start trying to focus on being open as much as we can be and as safely as we can.
Okay, and I don't disagree with that. So I know the bathrooms were a little touchy last year, so we'll continue to have a few more conversations about getting the bathrooms open.
Sure.
On May 1st, which is this Saturday, there's going to be a shred day from I think 9 to 12 at Surefine, being hosted by Whitekurt Realty. So if you have any papers that needed to be shredded, bring them on over to Surefine. Oh, what else did I have?
Well, that's good to hear.
I think that's all the
Anything
news.
else?
No, I think that's all I have to report. And the
the
street is, I've had a lot of comments this past week with the street because they've been digging right in front of my business for a week now. But they've done such a good job. I mean, it is a mess, et cetera, but they've done such a good job getting the, putting in the sanitary line and getting that hooked up. So
yeah, they've had
I'm fine with it all.
Yeah, I think it's going a little faster. Today was better, I think.
Yes, well, they had a couple of problems last week. Yes.
I think they discovered a few things down there that were there 100 years ago and we didn't know anything about. So, and I thought they were going to start putting trees in last Friday, and I haven't seen anything yet. So I don't know what's going on there.
Did we come to a conclusion on which trees they were going to put in? I know DEC was making recommendations.
DEC was making recommendations for what?
The trees, what type we should put in.
They've already been approved. Remember, maybe you weren't on the board. There was one that some people didn't want, and they did change that one. I don't have the list in front of me, what they are. But the trees, that's part of the state project portion of it. And the trees. Do you remember, Nancy? I don't remember the species of the trees. I know some of them are going in now, and then there'll be another 30 going in the fall because of the species of the tree, but I can't tell you, Joe, what they are. It's up on the wall there in the municipal building, what the trees are. But
So we did go with DEC's recommendation on the
I
on
don't
the types
know.
of trees.
I don't know where DEC came into this.
Well,
DOT
didn't they make
made the
recommendations what is good and what wasn't
DOT
during
made
that
the
board meeting?
original recommendation, and Nancy and I were on that committee. And then when they brought it forward, the person that Terry works with trees here had one that he didn't think would work out very well here in Clayton because of the weather, the wind, and everything. So we took that concern to DOT, and they put in a different one. But
I
these
believe
trees
that's
have always,
what Joe's referring to, Norma. Because there was that conversation, and it just so happened that the individual did work for the DEC, but he was doing it on his own. He wasn't representing the DEC.
okay. Well, the
So
trees
it
are,
sounds like it was taken care of.
so I don't know, if you look on the wall up at the village office, Joe, they are all listed. And I think there's a circle around the one that has been changed. I haven't looked at it in a long time, but one of them has been changed out. I think it's a lot of trees myself, but
Okay, thank you.
we'll see. Okay, is there anything else from the board?
No, I'm all
Is there
set.
anyone? Okay, is there anyone else?
I'd like
Any
to make a
questions?
comment if I could, Norma.
Sure.
Just to go back to where we started out with the ad, certainly I appreciate the information that your water and sewer guy shared on his project list. I toted it up, and certainly the amounts he talks about are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'll note that there is $940,000 in restricted capital reserves or reserves for repairs. So that's a significant sum. That's on top of between the water and sewer fund balances, which total $1,395,000. So if there is need to further than what is already reserved for in those capital reserves and reserves for repairs specifically, then that $1,395,000 needs to be adjusted and funds moved to restricted reserves so that they are not able to be used for any other purpose other than for those projects. So I still feel there's a significant amount of money available in those funds. It totals almost 1 year's worth of billings for both revenue and sewer. And I just renew my request for, which I made in January, which was for a review of the fund balances to make sure they're appropriate and sustainable. We do know that in 2018, the board approved a $582,000 transfer from the water and sewer funds into the general fund to reflect a new method of or amount to be billed for administration of those funds. It went from $15,000 to $58,000, and approximately $450,000 of that transfer was for prior periods, which could go back 3 or 4 years, which seems to be high. But you mentioned there were some issues that you're working through. I think that needs to be reviewed again from that standpoint. So in summary, there's almost $1 million of capital reserves or repair reserves out there, and other reserves that are not related or specifically attributed, almost $1.4 million. So significant amounts of money. Also, I want to just note that your question or your statement about transparency, and attributed that to me. First of all, it was directed at the board in total. Joe and Nancy made statements during the candidate night about transparency, but so did you. So, again, going back to now, we're seeing a project list as a result of my questioning, I think that's in the spirit of transparency, but it's been quite a while in coming. And finally, you referred to the ad that was in the TI Sun as Paul Luck's ad. It's the Clayton Financial Oversight Committee, and we're focused on, it's a group of individuals, of which I am one. It's a group of individuals that's focused on Village of Clayton transparency in government and fiscal responsibility. So there are others beyond me, but I do certainly acknowledge that I'm part of that committee. But I do think it's also rather presumptuous of you to attribute it just to me and could be considered defamatory. I know that I opposed the overhead wire project, and that was also something that I was very involved with. During that time, I received a lot of negative input from some of the residents. So just for the record, the Clayton Financial Oversight Committee is more than just me. There are multiple people that were part of that ad development and paid for it. So I just want that on the record. And finally, I look forward to receiving the answers to my questions and the opportunity at the next board meeting to read them into the public record so that everyone knows what the questions were and that are interested and what the answers are. Thanks very much.
Okay, I guess I'm back. I had a little trouble there with the mute deal. Is there anyone else that has anything? If not, can we have a motion to close the meeting, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Nancy. Got a second, Joe?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Yippee. Aye.
Okay, thanks very much.